Hey folks, my name is Zach Meyer. I'm a VMware Industry Computing Specialist here in Austin, Texas. We want to take a bit of time today to talk about how our customers are managing their endpoint devices and also how VMware sees that, or sees what they see that looking like in the future and what our vision is for how our customers will manage these going forward. So we'll talk a bit about the legacy, the status quo, and what that looks like for our customers. So you've got all these different devices. You have your Dells, your HPs, your Lenovo's, you've got your laptops, your desktops, your tablets. All these things need to be managed by your IT crew. Now this could be help desk support people, it could be desktop engineers, it could be all sorts of folks. The bottom line is we're going to have a number of IT folks pretty much dedicated, depending on the size of your environment, just to managing their endpoints. Because it's important, because it's how your folks get their job done. Now, they're going to use some sort of software generally to help them out with this, to push patches, to push updates, to make sure the operating system is at the level it needs to be and is secure. What does that software look like? It could be one of many different things. It could be your SCCMs, it could be something like Dell Case, it could be something like Altiris, or it could be the basic, it could be something like WSUS. Bottom line is they're going to use something to help them push patches and push updates and to add some level of automation to their job in managing these endpoints and keeping them secure. Now, after we do the software, we still have all those different devices. So we have our desktops, we have laptops, we have those tablets, and these can be in one of many hundreds, if not thousands, of different configurations, right? And it's all depending on what the end user needs, what type of applications they have to have, and then what they've done to that machine after it was handed to them, what else they've installed, what other data they've created, and so on. This becomes incredibly burdensome, right? This takes time, this takes money, it takes effort to get all of these to the corporate image and to make them secure in the way you want. It's not the best way of doing things, and there are better ways, and we'll kind of walk through what those are. First off, a few of the disadvantages with this legacy method of kind of going through software and looking at all these individual devices. First off, it takes a lot of time, right? Because I'm managing each one of these individually, I'm having to touch them, whether it be a physical touch, whether it be a remote touch. It's something where this guy right here, Bob over in IT, sometimes has to go and look at this particular laptop to see what's wrong and to get it fixed. That takes time, that takes effort. The other thing about it is, it's very expensive. Our customers don't enjoy having to go out and buying expensive desktops, big workstations. They don't want to go have to buy or invest a lot of money in this high-powered laptop. It's going to be obsolete in just a matter of a couple or few years. And then the same thing with tablets, right? It's just another piece of complexity that they've added to the puzzle recently. It's very static. The work environment that your end users have on these type of devices isn't all that it could be, right? If I'm at a desktop at work, it's very difficult for me to take everything I've done on that desktop and bring it home with me. I have to take data and store it somewhere where it's accessible elsewhere. And then even if I am working from home, how is IT making sure that I have the access and I can get at the data when I need it? Which brings us to our last point. It's very insecure. So let's say we're working on a laptop at a Starbucks on some insecure Wi-Fi network. Do I want to give this person access to all the data that they need? Are they storing that data on the laptop? Is it encrypted? If that laptop were to walk away from that Starbucks or fall into a lake or something like that, do I have the ability to prove my IP hasn't been stolen or lost? Do I have the ability to say, oh no, we aren't in violation of HIPAA, we have been compliant with PCI? So you have to do a whole lot more around the endpoint itself to make sure that it is secured, encrypted, and all that good stuff. There's a better way of doing this, and that's been introduced by VMware and another other folks called VDI. So we'll talk about VDI 1.0 and what that was. So what does this look like? Well, we still have our IT folks, they're a requirement, and they're still in charge of managing their endpoints. But now we're taking all of the endpoints and we're delivering out a virtual desktop to them. We're just sending them the pixels that is their virtual experience. Users, or IT folks rather, are going to build a number of different images, one for each different use case within their environment. So maybe I have a Win 7 image here. This is for our folks over in HR. Maybe I have a Win 7 image here. This is for our folks over in sales. Maybe I have a Win 10 image for our bleeding edge folks over in sales. And then maybe I have the Win 10 image for IT as well. Instead of managing literally thousands of different endpoints, I'm down to managing these number of basic images. And every time something needs to be pushed out, an update to an application, an update to an operating system, I just do it at this level. And then this is going to trickle out to all of my different endpoints, right? So I have my same endpoints, my desktops, I have my laptops, I have my thin clients, right? I have my zero clients. And then I also still have my tablets, and maybe nowadays I also have iPhones and things like that as well. The same experience is going to be delivered regardless of the location, regardless of the device, because I'm maintaining that here and then piping it out via the wire. This is huge. This revolutionized a lot of things, and a lot of companies, including VMware, did it very well. Let's talk about the benefits over legacy in VDI 1.0. And we'll try to keep these in line so we can make sense of it, right? First and foremost, you're going to decrease the amount of time it takes to manage this type of environment. Well, that's pretty obvious, right? I went from having to touch thousands of endpoints down to just managing a number of different images. If Bob over in HR were to get a virus in this solution over here, well, that's too bad. I've got to go and re-image this or do something to it. If Bob gets a virus over here, I can say, no worries, Bob, log out, log back in, and you're up and running with the exact same experience based on your master image. This is also going to decrease the amount of money you have to invest into the end user computing area. Now, VDI's always had a sort of hard time proving a CapEx savings. A lot of times because you're investing in server hardware and all that good stuff, that it is a little more costly up front, but we are going to really decrease OpEx, right? You're spending less man hours, you're spending less time maintaining all these, and on top of that, because what's important is the image and backend infrastructure, I'm investing less time and money also in the endpoints themselves. They're not as important as they used to be. It's a very dynamic environment. This user who was limited to their desktop in our first thing over here, now he can get that exact same experience at his desktop at work, on his laptop, sitting on the couch at home. I'm delivering out his particular virtual desktop to him regardless of where he is. So he can be in the airport receiving this, he can be at the Starbucks receiving this, and on top of all that, it's always going to be more secure. That's a 3. We're in that Starbucks, we've got our laptop. If I do leave it on the counter and then walk away and someone snags that, there's no data on the endpoint that I have to be worried about. All I have to do is go back home, forget about the laptop for now, log in with my at-home PC, I pick up the session right where I left off, and I'm up and running. VDI 1.0. Now, one of the big things our customers have had to think about when they first tackle VDI 1.0 is, hey, do I want to do a persistent desktop or do I want to do a non-persistent desktop? Persistent is I build it from the image, and then anything they do, any customizations they make to the image are going to follow them around. So if I install software, if I save data to it and all that good stuff, that will be there whenever I log back into it. That's fantastic from the end user perspective, right? I'm able to change my background, I'm able to customize my experience, very similar to what I could do in this implementation right here. The problem with that is, if Bob was to get that virus on his laptop, all those customizations that he made, whenever my IT folks have to wipe clean to get the virus gone, are gone as well. So it takes IT individually touching Bob's stuff to make sure it remains on there. That's one of the downsides, right? So persistent, good for end users, bad for IT. The other option is a non-persistent desktop, where every time a user logs in, they're grabbing the same image, the same pristine image from the back end, and that's delivered out. They log off, they log back in, it's restored back to what it was. That is the most simple implementation. That's the easiest for IT to manage because they're not having to worry about each individual user's individual customizations. So this brings us to VDI 2.0, which is VMware's vision of VDI going forward. It's the perfect virtual desktop environment. Now, what does it have? We still have our IT folks. We still have him hanging out, managing the desktops. Except we're going to make his life as simple as possible. We're going to narrow down the multiple images we had in the VDI 1.0 implementation down to just a single master image. So we'll call this Win7, if that's what you choose. We'll call it master. All of your different users, regardless of their role in the organization, regardless of what it is they're trying to accomplish and how they consume their applications, are connecting in to this master image. But this master image is very different than these. The reason we can narrow it down to just one is because we're not tying in applications with the image itself. In this implementation, the sales guys on Win10 needed all of their applications tied to that, HR needed all their applications tied to that, and so on. Now, how do we accomplish this? What we do is we still have the same people, of course, right? So I still have sales, I still have HR, and I still have IT. But now, I've abstracted the applications. I've moved them into a different layer, and those layers are attached at login based on the credentials of the person who's coming into the environment. So let's say the different types of applications are things like Office, pretty common one. Maybe I have a CRM. Maybe I have some SQL management tools or something along those lines. And then maybe I have something basic like Adobe. Maybe it's Acrobat, maybe it's Reader, whatever it happens to be. Now, whenever somebody from sales logs in, it says, oh, you're in the sales organization, that's your role. What does the sales guy need? They need Office. So the Office layer of applications are delivered to his virtual desktop. Well, they're also going to need the CRM, want to know who they're talking to, want to know what opportunities they're working on. So we have that delivered as well. They probably don't need SQL. I don't think they're going to be really working on that too much. And then they also need Adobe. HR comes in, maybe they have a very similar role as far as what applications they need to the guys in sales. HR still needs Office. Maybe they don't need the CRM, but they definitely do need Adobe. So from the same master image, these two individual type of users with very different purposes within the organization have gotten the applications they need, all the while IT is just maintaining it very simply on the back end, just this one master image. IT comes in, maybe you want everything. Maybe you need all the different applications, not only to make sure they're working, to make sure the experience for the end users is what it's supposed to be. So they come in, they get Office, they get access to the CRM, they need their SQL Management Studio, and then they also need Adobe. Everything all based on a single master image. Now, delivering applications is only half the puzzle, right? We still want to give people the best experience possible on their virtual desktops, and that is, as I mentioned earlier, through persistency. We want to give them the experience that what they're logging into, what they're connecting to is theirs, and allow them to customize that as they see fit. So, at the very end, it's going to spit out their virtual desktop with the applications they need to get their job done, but we're also going to tie to that user customization. We have a tool that collects all the changes that these users make to their operating system and to their applications and delivers it based on who is logging in. So Mr. Sales Guy, Bob, gets Bob's applications. Sally over in HR gets Sally's applications. And then Jose over in IT is going to get Jose's applications. All the while, Jose is managing this from that single master image. Now, how has this changed VDI? Why is this different? What does it look like from a plus and minus perspective? Well, we have really, truly further decreased the amount of time it takes to manage this environment. I am only maintaining a single master image. I'm only maintaining stacks of applications. If I need to update this, it's very simple. I just push the update once on my Patch Tuesday, and that's automatically going to be available to all the people connecting into the environment. If Office has an update, I just update it this one time, and then everybody who consumes Office across my organization, the next time I log in, automatically has that update. Very simple. Now, because of this, we're also, once again, truly decreasing the amount of money it takes to manage this type of environment and to maintain your end-user computing environment. How are we doing this? Well, we can still prove that OpEx savings. That's pretty simple. We already talked about time savings. Now, we're also, at this point, able to prove a CapEx savings. Leveraging things VMware has to offer within the Horizon suite, like vSAN, virtualizing your storage, leveraging local storage, and also the fact that in our app landing implementation, these applications only exist once in storage. They're not replicated per user, so it's saving you storage costs there as well. So now we can prove both CapEx and OpEx. Now, we truly have an elastic environment. So now these users can consume their virtual desktop and also their applications anywhere from any device, similar to what they can do there. But now, if I choose to be at a Starbucks on my iPad and I want to log into Microsoft Excel, I can do that, and everything that I've customized about my Excel, whether it's something that was on my physical PC back in the day, something on my virtual desktop, it's going to persist because we've snapshotted those customizations and can deliver them to any version of the application. The big thing is security. Now, one of the issues with both Legacy and VDI 1.0 is that you end up having to do so much work and there's so many things you need to update throughout the environment, and it takes time to do that you push it off. Maybe you only do your Patch Tuesday once a month, once a quarter, once a half. Now, because you're only having to do it once for a single image across the entire environment, it's simple. It's something you want to do, and you want to make sure you're always up to date, your patches are where they are. Beyond that, when it comes to the applications themselves, because I'm only working within the app layers where they exist, it's very easy to update my Office or my Adobe or something along those lines, and I can keep them at the security level, away from vulnerabilities and all that good stuff very simply. And then one of the really big ones is how easy it is to scale this environment. My company goes out, they buy another company, we acquire somebody, we have 100 new users. All I have to do is throw them into Active Directory, give them the credentials within that they need. Automatically, with Horizon View and with our app layering technology and our user customization technology, they're going to have the exact experience they need. So, of these 100 new folks, are they all in sales? Well, great. I already know what a sales role looks like when it comes to a virtual desktop. They have Office, they have their CRM, they have their Adobe. Give them a link to where they can log into the virtual desktop, and they're off and running. So it's incredibly simple. Now, VMware's vision of VDI 2.0 can be summed up in 3 pillars. We want to make it economical. We also want to make it easy for IT to manage, and we also want to give the absolute best experience to the end users possible. VMware calls this consumer simple, enterprise secure, and everything we've gone through in VDI 2.0 today is available from VMware as a single SKU, Horizon Enterprise. Thank you.